Hi guys, today we're gonna talk about rejection and as a candidate and how I've experienced rejection myself and how I have gone through it. Um, it's obviously difficult to be rejected from any job. Um, it's not obviously who wants to be rejected, right? From a job that you just applied to a company. Again, I've been rejected probably thousands of time since my career. I started working in a professional career in banking, but more as I became a recruiter for HR and talent acquisition, I've only that rejection has only gone up. Why? Because there is more uh, recruiters out there um, applying to jobs that I'm applying to. So it is kind of going against my possibilities of getting a job. you know those chances are less, versus any other job market out there. It could be a little bit easier for other people just to get a job faster. So everyone is experiencing rejection as of 2025. um, and the past few years, rejection only has increased. um, and I think, could it be after COVID? I think this pretty much started not just you know with or after COVID. I think this began before COVID. And so rejection just, it's a part of you applying to a job. And so as a recruiter, we have a job we post, and in this particular job, we have about hundreds of applicants. Hundreds. I have seen that number go up to thousands, but I want to say that mainly it will go to hundreds of applications. And you can see that when you go to LinkedIn, or if you're applying on Indeed, even ZipRecruiter, Monster, Career Builder. There's so many other job boards that when you're applying, uh, you're basically getting, um, there's a lot of applicants that you're going against, right? So I, as a recruiter, see how many people are applying. And I seen that LinkedIn, I think it would go up to 100 from what I'm getting, at like 100 um, applicants or clicks. And so that's not necessarily a correct number, because I wouldn't bet you anything, especially because I've um, worked with LinkedIn, and we've had an account with my employer, with several employers. And so I do know what the nuances are in the background. And I will tell you that it is in the hundreds of applicants that we get. It is really hard to find the diamond in the rough, the purple squirrel, like we call it in the talent acquisition world, that perfect candidate, right? That has all the skills that the hiring manager is looking for. Now, again, the job posted that we are looking to, we're looking, it just really depends on what the recruiter is how they're working their job. Um, but I really would focus on the requirements, what is required, in other words, right? Versus what would be preferred, right? So a requirement is something that you need to have in order to even be considered for this role. So as long as for me, if you wouldn't meet those requirements, you didn't have to be meet all of them, but let's say for the 7 out of 10 requirements, I would still, you know, look up the resume, review it, and call the candidate, or initiate a conversation. I would then also forward it over to my hiring manager with all our communication details. In my obviously my hiring manager's uh, insights as far as what they're looking for, as far as sometimes it's, well, most of the times it's not necessarily just what the job requirements are at a job. It's also what the hiring manager is wanting and is seeking, right? That is outside of the job description that you guys won't see. um so yeah, so again, rejection is an automated part where we can easily go through each resume and know, hey, do they even meet the skills? Some recruiters can set up a questionnaire. Hey, do you have this or do you have that? And if there's three answers for no, then that normally would reject you. So when you get a rejection, you get a rejection email, right? You don't get a personalized call from anyone. Again, not to be against the recruiters, because I myself had to do that. And again, we wear many hats. So to go to each and every candidate and explain to them what had happened or what this and what that. I mean, you guys have to see it in our world, in our eyes. Um, and sometimes when you start to explain things to candidates, I've had this happen before where many times, many times, because when a candidate is applying to a certain role, they get invested, they get emotional, right? We all do. I have as well. And as a candidate, it's rare. It happens probably when for example, when I have a communication with candidates about rejection, um, because the candidate has called me or I have to communicate it, because once a candidate has already interviewed with us, you do have to actually verbally call the candidate to let them know. Um, that should be the preference, or email them, but nevertheless, communication should happen. Normally, it should be a verbal if you can, but when a candidate is being, you know, rejected, the candidate is always going to say, "What happened? What did I do? What did this? What did that?" And sometimes it's not something that we can explain to them, because they're going to want to know, hey, I mean, I'm a great candidate. Why didn't I get hired? So, I mean, I don't understand your company, and I don't understand you as a recruiter and your hiring manager. These are conversations that I've already had. So I'm explaining to you that it does happen, and that's 9 times out of 10 the reason why recruiters and HR won't engage in a conversation with the candidate. But that explains the reason why the whole rejection verbal part is avoided for the most part. But again, I myself would call a candidate if they've already been through an interview process and they wasted their time. So I'm going to, take a few seconds of my day and letting them know, hey, I'm sorry, but well, I like to, with all my candidates, I like to have some type of, communication relationship, not just, based on, hey, I want to hire you, or if I don't hire you, that I don't care about you. We're all human, at least in my sense. The way that I recruit, it has nothing to do with, hey, well, you didn't get hired, so let me throw you, let me just, tell you that you're not getting it, and that's it. You should have, at least I were a, human. My heart Is, because I've been through this before, and so I kind of want a recruiter or HR to treat me the way that I, you know, if they were on the other, if they were on the candidates, right, other side, right, looking for the job, which that happens. Nothing is forever, right? No one keeps their job forever. So, with that being said, they should at least be looking through that lens, right? That, hey, you know what? Um, let's be human here. Let's be humane. Is what I want to say. Um, let's treat this with a little bit more, respect and dignity for the candidate. So that's just my route. Now, again, not every recruiter, not every, you know company will do that, but again, at least that was my uh, part of my process, because again, I didn't want that to one day, um, I just like to treat others the way I should, I want to be treated. So plain and simple. But again, um, a rejection, going back, is essential for any job. So don't get let down, don't get emotionally hurt by that. It's hard for me to say that, right? But if you allow rejection for every company that you're applying to, and if you allow that rejection to get to you, you really are you're setting yourself up for failure, because you're going to get rejected no matter what. Everyone gets rejected. I used to think at one point, why am I getting rejected? My resume is good. I'm a great performer. Um, I can, I'm a team player. This, I that. I'm, educated. I'm experienced. Whatever the case is, right? I said that to myself, right? But at the end of the day, I got rejected. It didn't feel good, but I had to continue to push forward and apply to more jobs and more and more. And I will be honest with you, um, you should continue to apply and never stop applying. It's like a sales. It's something that I learned when I was in banking. Um, I was always incredible in sales. So you're going to give nine no's. You're going to hear nine no's before you hear that one yes. So if if you put that math into how many jobs you apply, you should know that if you apply to 100 jobs, you should probably get 90 rejections before you get the yeses. The yeses mean you come into an interview, and those yeses don't necessarily mean you get the job, right? That means that you have to go to an interview after an interview. If your job asks for it, like for example mine, in HR as a talent acquisition, corporate recruiter, it, it's a must for my job, that I get interviewed more than 3 times. But at the fourth time is when if they want to extend the offer, and that's mainly the conversation from the leadership or HR. Um, but again, I will always, if as long as you can see that rejection is going to be a natural part of this process of being, also in keeping in mind that the job market is only getting I guess there's I'm trying to find the right words to say it, but think the jobs are very scarce. There's also jobs out there that have been posted, as I've already talked in my previous post, that are sometimes, should have been brought down, or, that are not necessarily looking for someone right then and there, right? And you're looking for the job. So if they're not calling you back, if you're already trying to link up with someone in this company and they're not um, responding to your emails or your calls, or you've already applied to the job more than once, I will tell you this: stop it, because it's only insanity. You're not, you're repeating the same thing over and over again, and that's not working for you. You have to stop. You have to just accept the rejection and move on. And you don't understand why. Again, sometimes the rejection comes because they see you applying to more than once. So when recruiters see that, they see it as a bias. Oh, he applied to this company. Why did he get hired? So again, there goes more into that, right? There's more in the back end that happens, conversations, and when I know there is a great candidate, and that I know this, I spoken to the candidate, and we talked about what skills, what are they looking for in the next job opportunity, and I know that everything else is aligning. I will bat for the candidate. No matter how many times they've applied, I would say, well, they just never got an opportunity. But again, you have to have a recruiter who's willing to fight. And a lot of the times, most of the times, recruiters, again, have many hats that we wear. And they are inundated with jobs. And not just one job, we have multiple jobs. Um, and yeah, so again, we could be working on 50, 100 to a minimum of 15 jobs. If you have 15 jobs, that's really rare. Uh, but for the most part, my minimum has been 50 jobs, and I've worked up to 80, 100. And yeah, I mean, this is something that I believe that if you can be at peace with the rejection process and understand that if you see that email, and I still see those emails, right? Um, hey, you've been rejected, or we're rejecting you, blah, 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 and all this stuff. You know, okay, good. Don't give up. Keep moving forward. There's nothing you can do about it. Now, I will say this: a recruiter should allow a rejection email to sound not bad, because I've read these rejection emails. Um, it needs to sound humane. I at least try to fight for that when I am at companies. Can we please sound a little bit humane? They're very understanding for the most part. I always have no issues, just as long as I let them know, hey, uh, I don't want someone to, I want someone to understand that, hey, thank you for applying. Um, you know, uh, Please continue to apply to any other jobs that come up with our company. Um, but we wish you best. Good luck. That's it. It's not that difficult. But other than that, I will say that I try to treat others the way I wanted to be treated. And even that, sometimes that might not be the case when I'm, interacting with recruiters that I'm interviewing with for jobs. It's okay. It's okay. I can always hear the stress behind them. I can hear it because I've been there. So understand that they're just trying to work. So please just be patient. If you get rejected, don't take it personal, because you will be rejected before you get hired. But you will be hired. But accept the rejections first before you can get hired. If I would have allowed rejections to stop me, I would have never worked for Fortune several Fortune 500 companies, multiple industries. I'm honored and blessed to have done that. No one can take that away from me, that experience I had. No one can take that away from me, but guess what? Continue to push forward and continue to believe that something great will come. A company will see your true essence of an employee besides a resume. But again, that was part of my rejection conversation today. But I just kind of wanted to talk about that point because I believe we do need to um, better understand how to handle rejection. So please hang in there, everybody. I know it's not easy, but this is just part of our new world, new job market, and it's ever changing. So keep your heads up. All right, guys. Bye.